Hello and happy Wednesday. Angus here at the Bureau of Meteorology with a weather update, and we're going to touch on a couple of things here. Firstly, a low and associated front are moving past the southern states today, tomorrow and towards the end of the week, and then we will give a quick heads up for the weekend because it is looking pretty wet for some eastern parts. Let's start off by looking at the satellite imagery, and a few hours ago you could actually see the low pressure centre here in the cloud. It's this spiral south of Perth, nicely showing up in the cloud field here. We see it move slowly to the east through the course of this morning, bringing some really blustery conditions to the southern part of WA. It has since lost a bit of its formation, harder to make out on the satellite imagery, and it's quite detached from this band of cloud here, which is currently bringing some rain to parts of South Australia. But the low is still here. In fact, I'll put it on the map. This is where the low is currently sitting and quite rapidly moving eastwards through South Australia towards the likes of Victoria, New South Wales and Tasmania. So what does that mean for the weather in the southeastern part of the country? Well, let's start off by having a look at the wind flow. This is actually the wind a little bit above surface level, but sometimes it's those elevated winds which can give you a good idea of the wind strength of the strongest gusts. And it's the oranges and it's the reds which are showing the strong gusts moving from South Australia on Wednesday through into the likes of Victoria, Tasmania, maybe parts of New South Wales as well on Thursday. We could see gusts 60, 70, maybe 80 kilometres an hour. It's a pretty blustery old day because once that northerly sets in, it hangs around for the majority of the day tomorrow. That northerly does tend to bring quite warm conditions, so let's have a quick look at the temperature. No surprise we're starting off with warm weather, above average for this time of year, but that is going to get replaced by a much fresher southwest flow. Temperatures are going to drop significantly over the next couple of days. In fact, let's break it down day by day. Here's the temperatures for Wednesday, and it's a warm one throughout this entire part of the country. High 20s, low 30s in many inland areas. We're looking more like mid 20s for coastal places, but that's still above average for almost all of these places for April. As we move from Wednesday to Thursday, temperatures drop in a few areas, particularly around South Australia, several degrees cooler than Wednesday, and into Friday we see that trend continuing, a cooler day yet again across this entire part of the country. That trend continues into the weekend, and it's going to be really quite chilly down here in the southeast. High temperatures on Saturday, just 15, 16 degrees around Victoria and Tasmania. Could see some 17s or so through South Australia as well. What about rainfall coming in with the system? Well, there's not a whole lot of it actually. We've got a couple of bands of rain, but you can see in between each band of rain there's a bit of a gap, a drier break there, so it's not heavy persistent stuff in the next few days. It's stop-start rainfall through South Australia, Victoria, Tasmania, kind of showery conditions through Wednesday night, Thursday, maybe into Friday as well. That's enough about that system moving across the southeast. I do have one more thing I want to point out before we wrap up, and it's kind of a heads up actually. As we move from very, very early Saturday and progress through the weekend, take a look at what happens to this rain band here out to the east. Starts to really focus on the eastern coastline of New South Wales. So don't want to lock in the details just yet. It's going to be a little bit chop-changey, but could really see some significant rainfall somewhere along this eastern side of New South Wales, potentially the southeastern corner of Queensland as well. So just be aware if you are in this part of the country, soggy weekend headed your way. That's it for this video, but don't forget you can always get the freshest updates at the Bureau website, the Bureau app, and through our social media channels.